is Marika with the Limelight Pet Project, and I'm here with Tracy and Holly, also of the Limelight Pet Project, and we're joined by Jme and Pate from Motley Zoo Animal Rescue. And Jme, who do we have here?
So we have little Moira Rose, the mom of the Schitt's Creek litter.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, a shout out to all the Schitt's Creek fans. I'm so excited that you have a litter named after them because it's also
Yeah,
perfect timing because of course Schitt's Creek is in the news here in Seattle because of someone decorating their front yard as the Rosebud Motel, which is just brilliant. So
yeah, yeah. We're gonna have to get over there.
yeah, I'm excited about that. Please tell us more about Moira Rose. We've been sitting here watching her play and she's so sweet.
Yes, she is. She is a very sweet dog, but it takes a little while to get there with her. She was originally a pregnant stray, and she was brought to a shelter. And everyone, at the shelter knows that's not a great place for a pregnant dog. But she was also a little reactive, and so they sent her to a rescue. And the rescue realized they really weren't capable of managing her behavior. Being pregnant and the hormones really made her just kind of a little crazy. And every once in a while that happens to a pregnant mom, but she just happens to be a little bit more of a handful than, or was more of a handful than most, I think, organizations can handle. But thankfully we have a really skilled foster who is capable of dealing with her and the babies and, making sure they all get what they need and being patient with Moira. So she is a fearful dog and she has certain triggers. She gives you a lot of warning when she's upset about something and she prefers to run away if she doesn't like it. But you cannot just go for her and do things at your pace. It needs to be at her pace. She needs to trust you. And once she does, she's got unconditional love. She will play and let you rub her belly and snuggle with you. But she just has to get there first.
So, oh,
Oh,
go ahead, Tracy. I was just going to say, I know that a lot of the cases that Motley Zoo takes in, they are dogs or cats that maybe have some behavioral or health issues that make them a little bit more challenging for other organizations to take on. Can you talk about how Moira's foster mom, Patty, has helped Moira build some trust and confidence?
Sure. Yeah. At first, Patty couldn't even reach in there with the babies. She Moira was so protective of them, and she couldn't even make sure they were breathing hardly before because Moira was very, very concerned. So I mean, it went from that to now whenever Patty has learned a technique over the years that if you can help reset a dog's mind. So if they are distracted, or I'm sorry, reacting or upset about something, you can start asking them to do a trick or an obedience cue. And so she'll ask Moira to sit. And Moira's like, oh, yeah, I can do that. And then she knows the next step is to high five. And so she automatically puts up her paw. And then you have a totally different dog in front of you because she's in now like a kind of like a routine, a pleasing, like she knows what's happening and she gets really into it. So, Patty has a lot of skills, not only in being patient and knowing how not to push a dog too far, but also how to challenge her. So she's challenged Moira to grow, but also learned how to manage her cues, manage her when she is having kind of a tantrum or she is upset about something. That's not just completely ignoring her or letting her get away with growling or behaving that way. She's taught her a new coping skill.
So basically, Patty and Moira have learned how to communicate with each other. And I think it's amazing that Moira is such a good communicator to those who know how to listen. The growling and the noises that she makes, that's all a form of communication, not to be taken in a bad way, because the dog is clearly stating what she wants. And so I love how Patty has taken that and then has communicated back to her by saying, well, if you're going to growl at me, then we're going to help you work through this. So please sit for me and then Moira will sit, and then so it's a whole series of communication that resets Moira into a better place. So is this something that maybe someone without experience could learn how to do to manage her, or would you suggest that she go to a home that has experience with dogs that communicate in a specific fashion?
So there's a couple of things about that. We wouldn't place Moira in a home that didn't have experience, because that's what we believe is going to be the safest bet for us and for her. However, we all got there. We've all learned how to become rescuers, right? We were not born this way. And I do think that some people have kind of an inane sense of dog behavior, and others it's learned. But I do believe that everyone can learn it. They just have to look at what is in front of them and not make assumptions and not portray human emotions on the animal and go through a whole series of filters. They just need to look at what is in front of them. This dog is behaving this way, and there's a trigger, and this is the trigger, and then think of a way to do that. So, you know, a lot of times when there are dog bites, people always say it came out of nowhere. And then you find out for months that the dog has been growling at something, at this thing, at this situation, growling. Then it graduated to snapping. And then one day it turns into a bite. Well, that entire time they were ignoring that dog's cues. It did not come out of nowhere. It is almost never out of nowhere. But, you know, for whatever reason, people they live in denial. They ignore it. They hope that it's not going to get worse. But in order to be someone that does learn about dog behavior and is capable of, you know, getting to this level of communication, you have to accept what's in front of you and not justify or make excuses or be in denial or hope for something different. This is what it is, and let's fix it. So I think that could be just a personality issue for some people too, you know. And so, but there's a lot of ways you can learn about dog behavior. We have a great program that we use with the dog agents at our dog daycare. And even people who have had dogs for years and years and years, after they watch the first 2 videos, they're like, I have learned so much that I never knew about dogs. And they're like, I always thought my dog was happy. And they're like, I realize now that the dog is super anxious and it's trying to tell me that it doesn't like this situation. And I'm like, so, you know, you can learn, but I do think some people have a better sense than others. And ultimately, we want someone that we are confident in. We can't be hopeful in this situation, or really any in rescue, you know.
That makes sense.
I love everything you just said so much, because we've been sitting here watching her play and enjoy just being, and that's completely possible with the right adopter after they have gone through everything that you're talking about to build that trust. So I want to talk about play for a little bit. I want to talk about what's possible, because it's already happening for her new home and her adopter and new place. What are her favorite ways to express her joy?
So she loves like dentist sticks, like chewy treats that, you know, she'll just gnaw on them, and it's a good reward for her. But it also doesn't. It's something you can manage and give as a treat, and then take it back and do a routine with. And so she loves those. The other thing she loves is playing tug. So any kind of toys that you can play tug with, she gets really excited. And unlike some dogs where we suggest not even turning on the tug switch in their brain, because it can take a dog kind of to a different mindset. For Moira, that's the key to getting into her mind. So for her, tug is very much a trust game. And I think that's a little different than a lot of dogs. So she's still really playful and silly. She rolls over on her back and she wants belly rubs. But, you know, this is something that Patty's worked with her for a few months on, and, you know, they're still working on it. They're still working on that relationship. But she shows joy. She shows trust. And then she'll tell you again when she's uncomfortable.
So for someone who would see this and think, oh my gosh, I love this dog and I would love to welcome her into my home. What kind of support do you guys have for this sort of a situation for an adopter?
Sure. For every adopter, I like to say that we have nothing better to do than to help you keep that dog or that pet in your home. So please, if you're being challenged, like, do not suffer in silence. Like, we don't want to place animals and then have you surrender them later because you came across a challenge. So we are there to help you through the situation. That being said, not everybody wants to listen or take advice or, do what it takes. Thankfully, I think most of the time our adopters do, because we've really screened them and matched them to be that way. But we do have dog trainers that you can come and take classes with. They may do they usually do a free session to help you kind of get started. And then after that, we suggest certain classes. We do offer a class that no one else does, that helps build confidence. And so a lot of people, I think they think that reactive or dogs like Moira are overconfident, and that's why they act that way. But usually it's a very deep insecurity and a big fear. So fearful dogs need to learn how to be more confident. And I think Moira would actually benefit from a class like that, that we host. It's called Confidence Class. And it teaches people how to communicate with their dogs effectively. And it teaches the dogs cues and skills to be able to be their own dog and express themselves, but in a controlled way too. But I find that a lot of people are not actually communicating with their dogs. And then when they take the confidence class, they realize all the things that they've been missing, and they actually start really learning how to communicate with their dogs.
Is that something you offer outside of your adopters?
Yes.
The whole community?
Yep, it's a class that we offer. There'll be a new class starting up at the beginning of January. You can look on our website under the dog training or dog daycare and services under dog training. And, in general, we'll continue to support the adopters. We've had times where we go to the adopter's home. Like a lot of times there's maybe a situational, the dog is fence fighting or something. We can't replicate that in our facility. So we go to the dog's house and we try and work through it and show them how to manage it in their own environment. But a lot of things are just very systematic, and it's more about how the people think about them than it's so unique to the dog or so unique in general. Most dog training and support is people management of the order they do things in, how they do things, and it's changing their mindset about what they can and can't control.
And in Moira's case, she actually gives off very powerful cues as to how she's feeling and how uncomfortable she is, or whether she wants to fight or flight, as the case may be. So understanding her cues is probably one of the most important parts of the whole process here. How would someone, how would you talk to them? How do you encourage them to come forward and say, yeah, I understand this cue, or I don't understand this cue? Like, how are you going to match her with a good adopter that understands the cue she's giving off?
Sure. I think in this case, we will be looking for someone with experience. So we'll be talking to them about a dog that they kind of helped work through some issues. And they will tell us how they did that and what they did. And then maybe they'll tell us about mistakes they made and things that, didn't work. But I can tell you for sure, if they get to the meeting and they go running across the room and they're like, Moira, the meeting's going to end there, because that's exactly not what not to do when meeting her. But, if they come in and they sit down and they ignore her and they're just talking to us and she's coming around to their feet, and maybe they have the little dentist stick in their hand and let her chew it, but they should make no effort to force themselves on her or even really put her in the spotlight. And so, you know, it's really going to be, are they going to do what they say they're going to do or what they did? And then us being confident that, you know, how can they get her in the car? Like, can they? And, you know, stranger things have happened than a dog that, like her, really bonds with the person that they are meeting. And once they're in the car, that's it. And they're their dog. And, you know, there's still going to be growth and learning and development and, you know, trust to be built. But a lot of times, especially when they're the one and only now, the dog really is like, okay, well, I have to depend on you. I have to trust you. And they do. We help the dogs trust more and quicker. A lot of times people think that when you foster a dog, like, how could they ever learn to trust another person? But what you've done is you've kicked open the door for them so that they can open doors on their own now.
Yes, you've tapped into this reservoir of potential of confidence and love and joy that she has. So Patty has done an excellent job in opening that resource for Moira. So hopefully the person that meets her won't have to work as hard.
It's true. They won't. Patty's done the hard work.
Yeah.
I always say that. I'm like, when people ask us about fostering, and I'm like, well, you're basically trying to work out all the kinks so that the adopter doesn't have to. Like, you discover what they are and you work them out. So, and obviously that's not the case with every dog, but you're test driving this dog for someone else. And, you know, if it needed an oil change, you would do that. And these kinds of things. So Patty is very skilled, and she is helping Moira with her tune-up and making sure she's ready for a new family.
That's amazing.
Now, you talk about opening up that door for Moira to be able to be the dog that she can, you know, the best dog that she can be. What's been your favorite part of the journey with her? And what's your favorite part about Moira?
All right, well, I'm not sure I should admit this, but I didn't know her name for a little while, and I only knew her as Cujo because Patty had sent me a picture of her, and I don't know if she'd settled on the name yet or not or what, but one day she said something about Moira to me, and I was like, who? And I was like, oh, Cujo. Because the pictures that I would see are just her caught in a snarl or something like that. And actually, one of those pictures is like the most viewed picture on our Facebook page, like this year. But it's obviously a moment caught in time. And, you know, even if the nicest dog could look terribly mean in a situation like that. But I know what's behind that picture. I know what's behind that dog. And I know that will be a funny and ironic thing in time. And even her name, you know, that I called her Cujo. It's because I know she has so much more inside. And so just really seeing her develop and learn to communicate with Patty, and just knowing that she has that desire to please and to trust you. And that's where the sit and, oh, I'll give you my paw now. That's where that comes from, because she's excited that she's making a connection. And sometimes that takes a long time for dogs to learn. And it really hasn't been that long for her. And even dealing with the challenge of hormones and the babies, and those are things that can be challenging for some dogs. She's still thriving, and she's still doing these things and making this progress, even with the babies there. Sometimes we have to wait for the babies to be gone before she can even do that. So just thinking of her as that picture of just snarling teeth and seeing her today, that's the dog I know today. I know she was at the beginning, and that Patty would find that dog inside her.
Oh,
I love it. Thank you so much for.
But you're looking for. Sorry, Marika.
No, good. Just want to say thank you so much for sharing
just
all of
gonna-
that with us, because I feel like this has been one of the most educational pieces we've done because of like all of the elements of what goes into making a really beautiful life possible for a dog like Moira. And I think so many people, especially this year, who we hear all the time about so many people are adopting, and but they don't know all of the pieces that go into making it possible for a dog to find a family. And like, you guys are just friggin' amazing, the work that you do.
Well, I think I always tell people, you know, they're like, well, I can't do what you do. And I was like, yes, you can, because I was you once.
Mm.
And a lot of times people need to rescue their own dogs. They contact us to surrender them. And I'm like, in this case, there is no one else. Your dog knows you. You have that history with that dog. They will not be this way with another person. You know their good side, and no one else does. And sometimes you have to rescue your own dog. And I always say that we were not born rescuers. We became rescuers because we saw a need and because we kept trying. And so the difference between us and someone else, we just don't stop trying. And that's really all it is. You know, we're not magic, you know, but we just don't give up.
I am.
You know what's funny is that we just see Moira there, and it was like Moira was like, oh yeah, I am.
Yeah. No, it's true. Patty is. But outside of that, we're not magic. But yeah, we just don't give up. And we will try any and everything. And a lot of times we can give those tricks and tips and advice to people. And, you know, someone that was convinced they had to surrender their pet, within, you know, a couple emails back and forth, they're like, oh my gosh, like, I can do this. I can totally do this. And they do.
Oh, love it.
She's so cute.
Holly, did you have something you wanted to add? Sorry, we were.
It's okay. I was just asking about her future home and what that would look like, and what the best possible scenario is for her to thrive.
Sure. I do think that there are, obviously Moira does have some limitations, but there are still a lot of options for her. Whether the new family has other pets or not, that's okay. She does well with that. Just maybe not an animal that's going to be really in her face. So, you know, maybe an earnest puppy that doesn't know what they're doing, probably not the best companion for her. But, you know, a mature dog that likes to play sometimes, that'd be great. Or she could be in a home without other dogs. I think she would do perfectly well that way. But you know, she does look to the other dogs in Patty's home. So, you know how women always usually go to the bathroom together when they're at a party or something like that.
Yeah.
When Moira has to go to the bathroom, she will go find one of their other dogs, Samantha, to go out with her, because she relies on her. And so she follows cues from other dogs. So in that way, I do think it'd be great if there was a mature, you know, kind of mellow dog in the home, because she will learn their cues and learn like, oh, you know, this person is okay. Okay, I'll trust them now because you trust them. And so yeah, and cats are okay. She lets the cats play with the puppies, which is pretty cute. But she acts like a referee in case if she thinks they're getting too rough. Yeah. And you know, I think she could play with a cat herself, and I think that she would be fine with that. So other pets are okay. A family with no young kids, I would say like adults, you know, 18 plus, just for the sake of the fact that those people are going to have visitors, and it's not the children in the family that we'd have to be concerned about. It'd be the people coming that are other children of visiting, that I wouldn't want to put her in that position. And then someone who really is interested in dog behavior or dog training, or just who has spent some time doing that, because it is a little bit like a puzzle. And if you just want what you want, and you want a trained dog, like, and you don't want to understand how or why you get there, then Moira wouldn't be the right dog. She's the dog that she's like a puzzle, and you need to figure out how all the pieces fit. and you need to enjoy that process and find satisfaction and reward in that process. So someone who probably has had that experience of unlocking, you know, the secret to a difficult dog, or a dog that just was so shut down, I think that'd be good. And those people are out there, and you know, your show will help us find that person.
Well, this has been awesome. I feel like I almost know Moira, and I've enjoyed hearing so much about the process that Motley Zoo has and just how much care and dedication you have for each animal that comes in. So thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today on the Limelight Pet Project. And here's to hoping that somebody sees Moira's segment and they think that she's the dog for them. And this has been Tracy,
Holly,
And Marika.
with the Limelight Pet Project, and we shine the light on harder to adopt pets because their stories are worth telling.
Yay!